What's up, guys?
It's your girl Misha.
It's your boy
And
Nord.
we're the Eminent Family. So today, we're doing a reaction to Thomas Sowell versus Trevor Noah of Slavery and Reparation. Interesting.
Now, see, guys, I'm curious to see about this. It's like a great debate. So,
It's a great debate
Right,
between the two.
Right. So, let's see.
Because ain't nobody can touch Thomas Sowell. Nobody can touch him. That man is he's a very smart, intelligent guy, and he just know his stuff.
She funny, man. Nobody can do what?
Touch him.
What that was you did at first?
You got the rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's jump into this video, man.
Let's get into it.
So to your question, I think you have to understand what the word reparations means first. So reparations, you are repairing something that you have broken. You are paying for something that you were supposed to pay for. I'm not saying that there aren't people living in America today who are suffering and are going through pain and strife because of what's happening when it comes to machines taking jobs, factories becoming industrialized, etc. But reparations is a specific conversation about a specific time in America, and that is black people were slaves.
Article that got a lot of attention in the Atlantic a couple of years ago called The Case for Reparations by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Quote, white supremacy is a force so fundamental to America that it is difficult to imagine the country without it. Reparations is the price we must pay to see ourselves squarely. Close quote. And Tom Sowell, who actually saw Jim Crow with his own eyes and experienced it, responds how?
It would be nice to know his evidence for what he said, just to be old-fashioned about it. No, it was a rotten system. But I don't know how we get from that to reparations. I mean, what we see in the United States in terms of the bad things, you see all around the world. If you were to give reparations to everyone whose ancestors had been slaves, I suspect that you would have to give reparations to more than half the entire population of the globe. Slavery was not confined to one set of races. I suspect that most of the people who were either slaves or slave owners around the world were neither white nor black. I mean, this was a universal curse of the human species.
Africa, the Middle East, Asia,
and it continued elsewhere long after it was abolished in the Western countries.
You know what I mean? I've even heard people say like, oh, but there were some of the Irish who were indentured. Like, yeah, slavery. Look at the numbers, look at the time, look at the level of work. You could not work toward your freedom. For most black people in America, this was a time when you lived and died as a slave. And so that's what reparations is about.
The other thing, I have a slight sidebar in there on the history of slavery. The history of slavery existed all over the world for thousands of years among all sorts of people, as far back as the history of the human species goes. It's one of many evils that the left tries to localize, when in fact it is a universal evil. But more than that, as much as slavery is repudiated around the world today, prior to the 18th century, I know of no serious effort to abolish the institution anywhere. Anywhere.
not in Africa, not in the Arabian
Not
world.
in Africa in the 21st century. Adam Smith wrote in 1776 that the only place in the world where slavery had been abolished completely was Western Europe. And so this was
as late as the year this country was founded.
yes. And so the idea that this is something that the United States had that nobody else had, or other countries that didn't have, it's been estimated that there are more slaves in India than in the entire Western Hemisphere. And that's before and after Columbus got here.
Right.
And so I hear what you're saying, but I think that's a completely separate conversation that
I'm gonna kind of pause right there and go back just a little bit before we start. How you feeling, honey?
My point exactly. What I said in the very first video we did with Thomas Sowell.
So black facts about slavery.
Right. So you was saying I got a bad comment, and it was like
all him got.
so. But it was true facts. Like I said, I cannot speak what was going on in those countries.
I don't think you didn't say you didn't care.
No, I don't think I can. I just said I can't speak on that. I didn't really know what was going on in those countries. You know what I'm saying? But like you just said, and you heard with your own ears, that black folks could not even come close to fighting for their freedom. So with that being said, is I don't know what was going on over there across the Middle East and wherever else, you know. My point is that it was tough in America. And it may have been tough over there too. I'm not saying it ain't, but I'm only speaking for America. It was tough here. So
and black slavery was dragged, meaning from the 1800s all the way to the 20th century, it was dragged out. Yeah, so just like, what was that guy now? I did the brothers, something like that, and they were accused for raping girls just because they were black, but they were out looking for jobs. They were black men. So
yeah, I know about that movie also.
The Scottsboro.
So I'm just saying, man, like you gotta, you know what I'm saying, guys. I'm coming from being a black man. You know what I'm saying? It's tough, man. It's tough. You know, when everything that almost created here in this country is against black folks, man. It took them to come up with a deal for black folks to get freedom.
And again, we're only speaking on our behalf and our opinion from our race. We don't know what's going on with the other races. Educate us. We're open to learning.
Always.
But
correct me if I'm wrong, you know? But, you know, anybody know, man, it's being a black man in America is very tough, man. And still to this day, it's tough.
Yeah, you ready to get back into the video?
All right.
Separate conversation that needs to be had about the now, because if you are not careful, what you then do is you combine everybody's suffering into the same bowl, and you make it seem like all injustices have the same weighting, and they don't.
Exactly. My point exactly.
Theft isn't the same as murder. We don't try them the same way. And as much as there is a white person who's suffering today, I feel for anybody who's suffering, because I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to suffer. I didn't come from a wealthy family. We struggled when I was growing up. But I also understand that there are levels of that suffering, you know? And so sometimes white people, it does block a white person, because you go, white privilege, and the person goes, I'm poor and I'm white. Where's the privilege? You know, white people are like, I wish I could activate my white privilege. I wish I could do it right now. White privilege! Give me something. I get that. I get that. Trust me, I get it. It is hard to accept that you have benefits because of the color of your skin if you cannot see the benefits that you have.
The book that I'm writing now, I discovered this is true not only in the United States, it's true in England, and the situation is wholly different. And yet, if you read the data, for example, from London, the educational tests and so forth, you see that there, immigrants from Africa pass this test they have. I'm talking about low-income people now. Nearly 60% of the time. Blacks from the Caribbean, like 50%, so on. Native-born whites in the same low-income bracket pass this test 30% of the time. And it's the same thing. The foreign people come in, they haven't had generations of being steeped in the welfare state vision, the vision of grievances, victimology, and resentments.
Right.
The idea that there are enemies out there dedicated to keeping you down. That's the message that's been pumped into the head of the white lower class in Britain, and that's the image that's been pumped into the black low-income people in the United States, and the results are the same in both cases.
Oh
But the
my
thing I try
God,
to
you
explain
said a
to a person
mouthful.
is Think of it more like golf. Don't think of it as privilege, then think of it like a handicap, right? In golf, they acknowledge that you are in a position where you need so many advantages to be competitive in the game.
Is that we ought not to be doing this?
You know, there are various laws and policies that benefit one group at the expense of another. But I think affirmative action has the distinction of being one that it harms everybody, though in different ways. And so there's a lot of evidence that there are black kids who have all the qualifications to be successes in college, who nevertheless are failures because they are systematically mismatched with institutions whose standards they don't meet, even though they may meet the standards of 80 or 90% of the colleges in America. I remember first aware of this when I was teaching at Cornell, and I found that half the black students at Cornell were on some kind of academic probation. And so I went over to the administration building and looked up the SATs of these students. The average black student at Cornell at that time scored at the 75th percentile.
Which is pretty darn good.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so that means that in most colleges in this country, they would have no trouble, and many of them would be on the dean's list. But at Cornell, the average liberal arts student at that time was in the 99th percentile. And when you're teaching students like that, you teach at a pace that most people of any race cannot keep up with. And it was always complained that I was assigning all kinds of reading. But heck, I'm teaching kids who are in the top 1%. They can keep up with the reading that I'm assigning.
So Cornell was taking very talented black kids and spending 4 years teaching them to feel inadequate.
Yes, and succeeding at that.
Right? So what they say is you have a handicap of 15, so that means like you're going to be hitting from this tee and you get more chances to get the ball in because we understand the position you're in. And if you're a black person in America, from slavery, from day one,
pondering all this, I noticed something, a column that you wrote, this is a couple of years ago, in which you rebutted Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times. And Kristof had ascribed the gaps between African Americans and whites in America, gaps in wealth, gaps in educational achievement, the usual gaps, to, and this is a quotation from Kristof, to the lingering effects of slavery, close quote.
Oh, yeah.
And here's Tom Sowell.
Man, this is very, very much crazy to me, man. It's how smart those kids that was going to that college was, man.
I'm smart, but I didn't attend.
And you know, it's just something, guys. That's all I'm saying. There's something that just keep my race from not prevailing, from not leveling up and, you know, moving to that next step. Like, don't get me wrong, there are black doctors, lawyers, owners, entrepreneurs, scientists, man.
There's always something gonna hold you back.
But it's always something put in place to block us from being on top to where we're supposed to be. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get back into this video because this
It's
is
very
good.
interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Quote, if we wanted to be serious about evidence, we might compare where blacks stood 100 years after the end of slavery with where they stood after 30 years of the liberal welfare state. In other words, we could compare hard evidence on the legacy of slavery with hard evidence on the legacy of liberals.
Look how you looking.
Close quote. And
God,
the number of injustices that have held black people back in America amount to an insurmountable. Like you look at black people's freedom, you look at black people's land, just land alone. The amount of wealth you can acquire over time if you own land is exponential, because you have the land, you have the fact that you can borrow based on the land, you have the fact that you can use the money that you have borrowed to grow more wealth, you can use it to grow your family's wealth. Just taking that away from black people alone.
Right. And also, if you think you've been wrong, your recourse might also be more likely to politics, to try to redress this whole redistribution,
Oh, yeah.
rather than hit the books, acquire the skills, get the
Well,
job.
but the other thing too, one of my favorite statistic in there is that the poverty rate among blacks as a whole is 22%. Among whites as a whole is 11%, and among black married couples is 7.5%.
Goodness.
So,
Ooh.
And it's true.
Very low
And
percentage.
black married couples have never had a poverty rate as high as 10% in any year since 1994.
all right. So to the cry, what is to be done? Tom Sowell answers:
It's been done.
get
but-
an education, stay married, get married, have kids after you get married. That's sort of the answer, right?
Well, yes, and the things that work for other people tend to work pretty generally.
All right. Is crippling them. And so you combine that with slavery, and then you look at Jim Crow laws. You didn't let black people in America live in the areas that they wanted to live in. They couldn't get loans from the banks that they wanted to get loans from. And then on top of that, when they started getting the loans from American banks were found to be giving them higher interest rates when in fact they were the same risk as many of the other races that they were giving loans to. So when you combine all of those things, I think it's safe to say that black Americans have a conversation that they need to be having with the United States. Doesn't involve me, doesn't involve white people, it's like, yo, American government, meet the black people.
And I want to state something about that because there was a point in time where I was on Section 8 because I couldn't afford everything, having kids, and, you know, we weren't together at the time. It was right before. And I just feel like that system was up for you to be, for you to fail. Because there been multiple occasions where Section 8 wouldn't pay, and you end up getting evicted because your apartments or your town, whatever you have, it looked like you weren't paying, so they have to pay it on somebody, and you're in debt. Your credit is like shot up because this eviction is on your credit. It's not your fault. A lot of people don't know a lot of information. When it goes into, just like a lady told me, they're not going to tell you that you can buy a home with having Section 8. It's just a lot of things about it. So when it comes to, I see a lot of more black American, more black women inside Section 8. I don't see any man. Just like
it's definitely not designed for men.
Yeah, just
No.
like far as retirement goes for black people. I don't know how it is for white people, but I'm speaking for black people.
I honestly sit here and think it's all the same as far as that. But the thing is, like he was saying, man.
But it's like, I'm not trying to cut you off, but we're talking about, the like I feel like the privilege of things too. I was saying like how we grow up.
Urban neighborhoods.
And my parents, they might not be able to retire right then and there. Then I'm working. I might not be, it's just a thing. So I don't want to get off topic. But
The thing is this here, man. As a black person in America today, then, you know what I'm saying? It's just hard. Period, man. So, when, like I said, when everything is against you, almost, you know what I'm saying? Something's there to block you from going to the next level, to sitting at that table with the big bosses. You know what I mean? So, and for you to call shots. So, yeah, America is full of opportunities. You could do anything you want to do, and you can. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the way we had to fight to get to where we at now. Even women had to vote. Black women had to vote to work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I think it was all race because I read about that, and it was all women having to work because they didn't want to be stay-at-home housewives. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, it's just at the end of the day, man. It's just tough. It's tough, man.
Either
and
any race, I'm so sorry. That it's just like, man, it's just so sad. It's a very
it's just America,
hard, touchy topic to talk about.
right?
When it comes to slavery, everybody had a piece of something going on that nobody probably didn't even know about.
Yeah, but some thing
But
about
the
it
impact
is,
of all of it.
Yeah. So look, everybody had a piece of something, and everybody got a piece of black folks. Period. And that's just that, man. However y'all want to feel about it and say it, but that's just the way it is. It's a tough country, man, to come up into, man. You know what I'm saying? Now a lot of this stuff is starting to come up to the surface, wash up to the surface, and y'all, y'all just be, y'all state y'all opinion, which is cool, which is fine, but look, man, for black people in America, the system is always, to me, my opinion, designed to fail us.
That's what I was just saying.
Period, man.
Not too long ago, I was like, since I was having, problems with being under Section 8, I was like, man, this thing is really out to fail you. Like, I can't win being, trying to get funding from the government, and, they're not being very supportive of what I really have going on. They're not really paying. They're not trying to help. It's just getting you in the bind after bind after bind. And it's like, man, I got to work a little harder just because you're not helping. Making it harder on me.
And being in the system and getting on the system, it doesn't mean you're a failure. You're lazy or something like that. Like, man, your life. How did it fix your life? You know what I'm saying? Even for white folks, even for Asian folks, whoever here is on that system, wage is not even whatever race is here on that system, it all depends on how your lifestyle is going. You're not sitting there to be on it forever. You know what I'm saying? And the working people, what? Look at America now, man. Look at gas. You know what I'm saying? Look at these apartments. Look at the homes. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? This stuff is not affordable.
It was like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath here in Florida for $1,700.
So it's like,
are you kidding me?
Right. So it's just like, not to even come off topic.
Yeah.
But America just make it tough, and they make it tougher for black folks. Period, man. And it's like still to this day we still are fighting. So I'm gonna get back into this video.
You ready?
Cause this is good.
He's so achy.
That's it. Have that conversation.
In terms of political leaders, all the incentives politically are for black leaders to blame all problems in the black community on the larger society. And that enables them to take on the role of being the defender of the black community against enemies, which in turn creates the situation in which many blacks don't feel that anything that they do is going to help themselves unless it's done politically as a group. That there's no point. I mean, why would you, if you believe what they say, why would you want to knock yourself out into school knowing that the man is not going to let you get anywhere? One of the most pathetic things I heard was a young black man saying that, at one point he thought he would join the Air Force and become a pilot. And then he said he realized that a white man is not going to let a black man become a pilot. Exactly. And he was saying this decades after the Tennessee Airmen had established their reputation in combat in Europe. But the hopelessness is one of the big products of the race industry. That you have no chance. I remember giving a talk at Marquette, and at the end of the talk, among the questions that was asked, a young black man got up and he said, "Even though I am graduating from Marquette University, what hope is there for me?" And having gone through college when I was in the 50s, I don't remember any blacks saying that in the 1950s, when there was a lot more obstacles to overcome than there were when this guy is graduating from Marquette. Mm-hmm. But you have to produce that kind of feeling in order to serve the interests of those in the race industry.
Somewhere, watching this interview, there's a young Thomas Sowell. There's an African American who's smart and wants to do something with his life. It seems to me we've already got one piece of advice you'd offer to him is stay away from the racist industry. Stay away from the race hustlers. What advice would you give a young Thomas Sowell? How do you make something of yourself as an African American in America today?
That's a good question.
The way anybody else would. you equip yourself with skills that people are willing to pay for.
All right. Tom.
Amen. Amen.
Man,
Amen.
guys, man. You know, it just becomes so frustrating, man. See how he said that man graduated from that highly top college, and still he had no hope. Just because you're black, we won't allow you to do certain things.
That's kind of cool.
And this is what I'm telling y'all today. This video is very long, excuse me, but this subject, man, it's frustrating. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and then I got kids, man. You know, they got to come up in this, and don't get me wrong, it have gotten a little better. You know.
Just like I was stating with,
but,
you know, my parents are still working, and they probably cannot, depending on how they live their, how they use their skills. Will they be able to retire? Will I be able to retire? And so far as will my kids be able to?
I mean, the whole goal is, man, work for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you can do what you want to do.
That's the plan.
So, you know, as far as that's it. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's what the world's coming to anyways today, is everybody's trying to put faith in themselves and work for themselves and stop making a lot of these
so many people run their own business.
rich folks richer and waking up every morning and making somebody's dreams happen, and when your life is just going as further as it can go in day to day. But anyways, guys, man, all I'm saying is it's America, corporate America to this day, always putting levels on things. That's why when you fly in the airplane, you got low class, middle class, upper class. That's what they consider in the life and society, low class, upper class, and middle class. So therefore, it's when to me it's really just a low and a high class. That's all it is, man. What explain to me middle class people? You know,
middle class is
what we got now: a car, a house, a 9 to 5, and we just making ends meet. That's a low class.
All our bills.
Exactly. That's a low class. Rich is, hey, we're gonna go on the beach and drink some coconuts or something. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
When the lower class is making the money and they got the power. So
we cutting the coconuts for you.
It's just people so scared to take a step out on faith and believe in themselves and trust in themselves because they think that 9 to 5 just paying these bills. Man, look, a 9 to 5 pays bills. Chasing your dreams make you meals. So you think you let that sit in your
oh my God, that's so
state.
Crazy. My mom used to tell me what's the difference between just a regular job and a career. I used to be 9 years old looking like, and I'll explain it. But now I understand why she said and drilled that in me so much.
So a 9 to 5 is basically a career. So wherever you working at, it's just a career. That's your career, man. So I mean, that's what you do. You know, modern day slavery. Yeah. So man, anyways, guys, man, thank y'all again for watching this video, man. We love and appreciate the support, man.
Sorry, we love to talk.
Right, and I don't want to offend no one, but you know, I'm a black man and I have a voice. I can speak. I can state my opinion. So you know, so therefore, there you go. That term would never have came up. You know what I'm saying? And guess who created that? America. You know.
Okay, so, America.
I'm just saying. But. Hey guys, man, appreciate all the love and the support once again, man.
Until the next video. Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I can't thank you guys enough, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
If y'all haven't already.
Please, hello to all the new subscribers. How y'all doing? Yeah.
Until the next video.
Bye.
Bye.